All right, so opening scene, right? You have space. There's a spaceship, and it's USS Kelvin, where they're flying around. And then they're like, oh, there's a thunderstorm in space. So they get over there, and they're like, yeah, that's a really big thunderstorm. And then someone's like, sir, are there thunderstorms in space? And someone's like, don't worry about it. Oh, what is it? And then, like, suddenly, everything starts going crazy. It's red alert time because this giant ship, 50 times bigger than their ship, shows up. So it's big, right? It almost looks like a flower that hasn't bloomed yet. So it's really gigantic and ready to shit. So then they're like, all right, let's contact these guys. And the ship is like, hey, your captain should come aboard our ship, because we're Romulans. And then USS Kelvin guy is like, all right, Kirk, you are my first officer. You should walk with me. Walk with me, Kirk. Come on, let's go. And of course, at this point, audience were like, oh man, Kirk. Oh, that's not Captain. I saw the commercial. That's not Captain Kirk. Who's this? Captain goes to that ship, and they go on, and they mention his name's George. So you're like, oh, that's a different Kirk. Captain of USS Kelvin pops over to their ship, and these Romulans are like, yeah, come with us. We're your captain and stuff. And this guy who phone chatted them earlier was like, hey man, what star date is it? What year is it in star dates? And the captain of the USS Kelvin is like, what do you mean? It's, present day. It's this day. It's today. Who are you guys? He's like, is that your captain right there? Just like chilling out, sitting in the chair. Is he gonna say something? And then the captain's like, bam, I'm gonna say something. And then he just stabs him. He just kills him. Back on USS Kelvin, they're like, oh no, my captain's dead, red alert. This other ship, the Romulans, they're gigantic. So they're like, all right, we're gonna kill all these guys now. So they start to kill them and stuff. And then Kirk is like, all right, I think we got to abandon ship. Call my pregnant wife, tell her to get on that ship. Don't tell her I'm not coming. I'm gonna go down with the ship. So he does that, and his wife's like, I'm on the ship. We're having this baby. So then she pops it out, and he's like, what are we gonna name it? I got like 15 seconds left before I die, so let's name him after our dad's is how about James Tiberius Kirk? That's cool, right? And then he dies, and then you cut to like Star Trek. Cut to Spock, who's a kid. Some other Vulcans are like, hey, Spock, you're dumb because you're half human and half humans can suck a dick. It's kind of a weird part because these kids are like, we've come up with some insults for you to elicit emotion. But like the way they say it is eliciting some of their own emotions of, disdain and douchery. But I guess those don't count as emotions. So either way, Spock's like, I'm half human. Then he punches him. So then you cut to Kirk, who's a kid. He's like 12 years old, driving a car, listening to Beastie Boys. And he's, clearly speeding. And he's some like kind of robot looking cop, but I don't know if it's... So this cop's like, hey buddy, pull over. And he's like, yeah, you can go fuck yourself, officer robot. And then he keeps driving and almost goes off a cliff. And this guy's like, you're under arrest, I guess. What's your name? And he's like, I'm gonna give you my full name for no particular reason. It's James Tiberius Kirk. So then fast forward, James Tiberius Kirk is hanging out at a bar or whatever, and Zoe Saldana's there, and she's like, hey, I was in Pirates of the Caribbean for like 5 seconds. And he was like, that's cool. I didn't see that movie because it was from 200 years ago. And she's like, well, I'm going to be enlisting in Starfleet, and you're a towny douchebag. And some other guys are like, yeah, you're a towny douchebag, let's fight. Then he's like, let's do it. So they start fighting, and then this guy comes in, he's like, I'm Captain Pike. So Pike comes in and sits down, and he's like, hey, James, your dad was a captain. I think you should become a captain too. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, man, we'll see, maybe I'll show up in the morning. So then he shows up, Bones is there, and he's like, hey, nice to meet you, Bones. And Bones is like, nice to meet you too, I'm a crotchety old man, I'm also a doctor. And they're like, we're gonna be best friends forever now. So you cut to a few years later, they're best friends, they're at Starfleet. He's like, I'm gonna take the captain's test for the 3rd time. Bones is like, the 3rd time? And he's like, yeah, the 3rd time. So he does. He takes a test, and he's like, I passed the test because I cheated. And Spock, who runs the test, is like, hey, that guy cheated. And everyone's like, yeah, we know. He just said he cheated. So then Spock is like, I'm going to report this to Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's like, yeah, James T. Kirk, get over here, buddy. You are in big trouble. You cheated. And he's like, yeah, I know I cheated. And they're like, no, but okay, well, you cheated. And he's like, yeah, I cheated. And I fucking won. And they're like, great, that's cool, but hold on. So then out of nowhere, he gets a memo, and he's like, we got to go to Vulcan. There's an alert at Vulcan, and we don't have any real Starfleet people, so we're literally going to send everyone in our current class to die. good luck dying. Because you're all gonna die except for one ship. So then they all go, and everyone but the Enterprise dies. And Kirk is on there. He like sneaks aboard. He's like, "I got numb tongue," and then his tongue is numb and his hands are puffy. And he's like, "Did you guys say there's a storm in space?" And Uhura's like, "Yeah, there's a storm in space." And then they kind of decide, okay, we're gonna go check out this bad guy thing. And then immediately cut to the exact same thing that happened at the beginning of the movie, where this guy's like, "Hey, come aboard our ship. We're the same ship from that thing that happened years ago." So he's like, "All right, we're going to go aboard that ship, even though I did my dissertation on that other ship that got taken over. Remember the Kelvin, your dad's ship." So Pike is like, "I'm going to go over there. We're going to send through you guys down there, get your swords and guns or whatever you need." So then they go, the guy in the red uniform dies because that's what they used to do on the old show. So then they get down there and they shoot it with some shit, and they're like, "Yeah, we saved the day," but they already mined a giant hole in Vulcan. And then the bad guys, so they're like, "Hey, Captain Pike, just take a seat and watch when we do this stuff. We'll deal with you later." So then they take this giant ball of red matter, or whatever that is supposed to be, and they're like, "Deploy the red matter." And everyone's supposed to be like, "Oh, the red matter, what's that?" And then you look, and it's just a giant red ball. Giant, right? And then they take a little drop of it, and they're like, "We're going to throw it in the planet, and the planet's going to blow up." And then they do that. So the planet's about to blow up, and Spock's like, "Wait, guys, my family's down there. I gotta go get him." And he gets him, except his mom dies, so he's like pretty sad. "I'm not in a good headspace, but I'm gonna act like I'm fine because I'm a Vulcan." And Kirk is like, "You're a dick." So he's like, "How'd you get on board? Send him in a pod so that he can meet future Spock." And he does. Then he lands. He's like, "Hey, are you future Spock?" And future Spock's like, "It's me. I'm future Spock." They hang out for a little bit, and then they find Scotty, and they're like, "Hey, Scotty, we're going to fuck with time a little bit. You invented this like equation in 50 years or whatever. So here it is. There you go. You did it. You invented the equation. We're going to go back. You guys are going to go. I'm old Spock, so I'm just going to hang out here." So old Spock hangs out. They go back on the ship. Kirk is like, "Hey, bud, you're emotionally compromised." And Spock's like, "I'm emotionally compromised. You're captain now." So now Kirk is captain, and he pretty much just has like an associate's degree. He's smart. He's a captain, so don't worry about it. And he's like, we're gonna fight those bad guys. We're gonna get them, and I bet they're going to Earth because they took Pike. We're gonna hide on Saturn's the rings. We're gonna ring it, and they won't see us. And then we're gonna sneak in. And Spock is like, "I believe I am no longer emotionally compromised." And someone's like, "Your whole planet just blew up." And he's like, "Nah, that's cool." So then he's like, "I'm coming with you." And then they like jump on the ship. They do some crazy blah 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 plan, and they're like, "We're gonna blow up their entire ship by using all that red matter. Like that one drop killed a planet. We're gonna use all of this to kill a single little ship, and it's gonna be awesome." So they do, and then Spock's like, "Hey, this ship looks like it's from the future. Is this from the future?" And Kirk's like, "Nah, I don't know. It's not from the future." So then they blow the ship up, they win, and everything's super cool. And then Kirk is like, "Hey, I'm captain of the Enterprise," and then Spock's like, "I'm gonna go meet future Spock. I'll see you guys later." Roll the credits.